Does Adam Scott really have the chops to be a leading man in a horror film? Let's talk about that. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Movie Emporium's movie review of Hokum, the newest film from director Damian McCarthy. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, here we have a movie that stars Adam Scott pretty much by himself through the most of the movie. There are some other cast members, especially some that involve the kind of story that it's playing into. But Hokum focuses on this writer slash individual played by Adam Scott, who basically is down on his luck. He is having issues. He goes back to, the countryside to basically spread his mother's ashes. And in the process, he ends up at this hotel where things start to happen, unfortunately, and revelations start happening. The lead woman in this movie, lead actress, basically disappears, and it leads up to this hotel room where things start to happen and things start to become the revelations start to happen to not only Adam Scott's character, but what is going on with this situation that he finds himself in this hotel room. So think of like 1408 meets Oddity and that kind of material. So I've been thinking about this movie for a while, to be fairly honest. I saw this when it did the screening, the mystery screening back a couple weeks ago. I wanted to think about this movie and I debated whether to release it the day the movie releases or just release it the night I watched it. And Adam Scott has become one of my favorite actors. He's very good at what he does. He's very interesting as an actor. He plays, dramatic and like Severance and stuff like that. He was also in Step Brothers, and he was in Parks and Rec, and then of course he was in Krampus. He is a very versatile actor. He's very funny, but also very dramatic. And of course, Severance is one of my favorite shows of all time. So the question honestly remains, can an individual like Adam Scott, similar to like John Cusack, who's mostly known for doing like an ensemble and stuff like that, can he carry a movie by himself? And I know this movie has garnered, for my honest review, I know this movie has garnered kind of mixed reviews, but I honestly really like this movie. I actually really enjoyed it. I think it has some issues, to be fairly honest, but similar to Damian McCarthy's other film that I saw, which is called Oddity, this movie is all about mood. It's all about tension. It's all about, not necessarily the revelations that happen, but the idea of like what happens when an individual who is suicidal, because that's what Adam Scott's character is, the writer is in this movie. But how do you deal with kind of the nature of loss, the nature of grief, the nature of how do you handle yourself? Because he's a jerk in this movie, like a complete a-hole. So he kind of deserves a little bit of what has coming to him. But how do you deal with that situation when these things start to kind of spiral out of control? You start finding yourself in situations that you can't get out of, the darkness that envelops you, the nature of how his character portrays in this movie, Adam Scott's character. And I found this movie just kind of an atmospheric intrigue and an atmospheric kind of oddity when it came to what it's trying to do. A lot of the movie is not really about jump scares. There's a really interesting TV show, which I don't even know if it's a true TV show. It doesn't feel like it, but it has this like person in this costume, in this rabbit-eared costume, and then you start learning more and more about kind of the nature of what Adam Scott's character went through as a kid with his father, how his mother seemed kind of not able to protect him. And it really is a pretty powerful portrayal of, like I said, loss and grief and the nature of the darkness of your soul when you become so despondent and stuff like that. And I think Adam Scott does a really nice job in this movie as portraying that. He has to basically carry this movie on his shoulders with a couple of, characters that are part of the plot. But this movie is really about getting into the depths of his character. And I found it really kind of unique. It's not, to me personally, it's not as good as Oddity. I think Oddity had some really interesting things to say. It had like a really cool concept, very low budget. It had that, that mannequin creature, whatever it was. It's been a while since I've seen it, but you know what I'm talking about because it's on the posters. But this movie, just its atmosphere, it deals with a certain type of, horror genre. And once again, it feels very 1408 because a lot of things are happening in this room that he goes up to. And, the people that are trying to save him become part of his psyche and his mental stability. And you have revelations that start happening. And you watch this character go through some really traumatic events that are playing out in his mind as well as playing out in the world. It leads to this like really kind of weirdly constructed, really oddly shaped place of a hotel that has a very dark secret. And when he gets down to the lower bowels, you can't really see anything, but there's something there. A lot of complaints, and I saw this especially on, you'll know if you know Red Letter Media, because a lot of movies are very dark and very kind of the light is taken away, and I don't necessarily hate that. I think some of the shots in this movie struggle to find itself kind of understandable, I guess you could say. There's parts where you see something in the shadows, but you can't see it very well. And I think the nature of like unpredictability and the nature of like trying to struggle against what we see and what we can't see is not necessarily a bad thing, but it really does kind of hinder this movie a little bit. And it really just kind of like, unless it was like, if you're watching this movie in the daylight, you're not going to be able to see what's going on. That is a problem. But if you see this like in a dark theater, or you see this in a, like if you have the black curtain, blackout curtains and stuff like that, it'd be much better viewing experience. But once again, that's really my only complaint. Like the scares, are interesting. There are some jump scares. There are some really cool kind of moments where things kind of pop out of places, and it does like a little bit of the game where we have the character on the screen talking to Adam Scott's character, and just watching Adam Scott's character kind of go through this kind of trial that he goes through in this movie is really good, to be fairly honest. I really liked it, and it's shot well. Damian McCarthy, who's an Irish director, does a really nice job of shooting this movie, and he does a really nice job of giving us the look and feel of a very old school, very old style hotel with some dark secrets, and setting it in kind of like the Irish countryside and setting it in this world really helps this movie's kind of atmosphere, because over in the UK and over in Ireland and those types of areas, the Scottish Highlands and stuff like that, there is a very old style feel to it that feels very I want to say like 1600s and stuff like that, or maybe 1700s, where it just has this kind of old feeling, haunted style of material. And so therefore it really kind of ekes into your persona when it comes to like how it makes you feel. And once again, Damian McCarthy's just really good at the atmospheric horror. And if you like movies like 1408, or you liked Oddity, this is something I think you'll enjoy. Once again, it's not a perfect movie. It struggles sometimes with the script and kind of leans into an ending which I wasn't a huge fan of. But once again, it really has fun with this material, and Adam Scott is fantastic in the movie. He'll never get Oscar nomination, but he definitely deserves his flowers for going different directions in the movies and TV shows that he does. So I give Adam Scott a lot of credit. I enjoyed this movie for what it was, and if you liked Oddity, or if you like those types of movies, I recommend it. So that's my take on Hokum. I do appreciate it. In the comments below, what is your favorite? We'll go favorite recent horror film, not like big budget horror film, but if you've seen like smaller horror films, like kind of what's your favorite, and yeah, let me know in the comments. Otherwise, if you like what you see on this channel, hit the subscribe button to join Movie Emporium, hit that notification bell, top the fun is coming next. If you like this video, awesome, hit that like button, and as always, we'll see you guys on the next video. Peace out, guys.